We're going to start by reviewing two of the equations that we would have looked at in our first set of notes. So this first one, 5x minus 4 equals 11. Again, the x, the variable, is being multiplied by 5, and then 4 is being subtracted. When we solve equations, we have to undo the order of operations in reverse order. So first we have to get rid of the subtract 4. So to get rid of subtract 4, we need to add 4. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Those cancel out. You have to make sure when you work straight down, they cancel out. Negative 4 plus 4 is 0. 5x equals 15. Then we have to remember this means 5 times x, so to undo multiplication, we need to divide by 5 to get it to cancel. Divide by 5, x equals 3. So we think x equals 3 needs to be our answer. You would want to check your answer to make sure you're correct. So you're going to do 5 times 3, plug it in, minus 4, and we do get 11. Number 2, we have m over 6, so m divided by 6 plus 4 is equal to 2. So again, the variable is being divided by 6, and then 4 is being added. But we need to reverse that order. So first we get rid of plus 4 by subtracting 4 from both sides. So the 4's again cancel. M over 6 equals 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Make sure you're really careful with your positives and negatives. To undo divided by 6, we need to multiply by 6 to get those to cancel. Multiply by 6, m equals negative 12. All right, again to check your answer, negative 12 divided by 6 plus 4 should give us 2, and it does. So those were the steps that we learned on our first set of notes when we usually get rid of addition or subtraction and then multiplication or division. The other thing I want to review, this is from our one-step problems, when you have a fraction being multiplied by your variable. The way we undo multiplying by fractions is we have to multiply by the reciprocal. We don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal is 4 over 3. So the 4's cancel and the 3's cancel. So multiply by 4 over 3. So our answer is x equals, remember, fractions are just division. So negative 12 times 4 divided by 3. You don't need parentheses or anything like that. You can type it in just as it is. And we get negative 16. So when you go to check your answer, we would do 3/4, 3 divided by 4. Anytime you see a fraction bar, it's just division. 3/4 times negative 16 gives us negative 12. So we did that correctly. All right, so that's what we're going to look at today, is kind of a combination of the two. We're going to have two-step problems, but this time we're going to have a fraction with our variable. All right, so I'm going to show you two different ways you can do this. You get to choose which way you want. You do not have to do it both ways. This first way is going to be what we did right up here. All right, get rid of addition or subtraction first, and then you'll have a fraction left, so then you need to multiply by the reciprocal. All right, so this column for these two problems is going to look exactly like what we did up here. This is going to be a little bit different way to do it, and I'll show you that as we get going. So for this first one, 2/3 x minus 4 equals 6. We need to get rid of the minus 4 first, so we need to add 4 to both sides. 2/3 x equals 6 plus 4 is 10. Then to undo 2/3 being multiplied by x, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. So times 3 over 2 times 3 over 2. So x equals 10 times 3 over 2 would give us 15. Again, if you want to check it in your calculators, 2/3, 2 divided by 3, times the answer we got, which is 15, minus 4, does equal 6. So we know we did it correctly. The other way to do it, and it says it right here, is to multiply all parts of the equation by the denominator, then solve it. So there are 3 parts to this equation. There's the x term, the variable term, this 4, and then the 6 on the other side. So the denominator is 3, so we need to multiply this entire equation by 3. The reason we do that, if you take 2/3 times 3, I'll do it in my calculator so you can see it, that just multiplies to 2. All right, when you have the denominator and up here being the same, they cancel each other out. All right, kind of like what we did up here, over 6 times 6 cancel each other out. So over 3 times 3 cancels out. Now that doesn't cancel this 3 forever, okay? It just cancels this one out, and we're left with 2x. Then we have to do minus 12 equals 18. So you have to make sure all 3 parts of your equation should look different than what you started with. Okay, 2/3 times 3, those cancel and you're left with 2x. 4 times 3 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18. Now this technically makes it 3 steps because the multiplication is your first step. But after you multiply, it looks exactly like the problems that we did up here. So to get rid of minus 12, we have to add 12 to both sides. Those cancel. 2x equals 18 plus 12 is 30. Divide by 2, x equals 15. So we do get the same answer, whichever way we do it. All right, so again, it is totally up to you. I hope you're comfortable doing it both ways, but you can choose which way you would prefer to do it. Let's look at our next one. 3 minus 1/2 m is equal to 8. So again, asking yourself what you need to get rid of first. We need to get rid of this 3 first. This minus sign goes with the 1/2 m. This is a positive 3, so we need to subtract 3 from both sides. Subtract 3. Those cancel. Negative 1/2 m. Make sure that minus sign comes along as a negative. 8 minus 3 is 5. Then we need to get rid of negative 1/2, means we multiply by the reciprocal. So reciprocal is negative 2 over 1. You still have to have the negative with it. 2 over 1. Now, hopefully we know that's just negative 2, so 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. If we plug it in, 3 minus 1/2 times negative 10, and we get 8, so we did it correctly. If you do the other way, you would look and the denominator is 2, so we're going to multiply everything in our equation by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. This 2 and this 2 cancel. All right, so minus 1m. You don't need the 1, but if it's helpful, write it. Equals 8 times 2 is 16. Then we need to get rid of this 6. We need to subtract it to make it go away since it's positive. Negative 1m equals 16 minus 6 is 10. Divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, m equals negative 10. So again, you get the same answer no matter which way you do it. All right, so the only difference from what we did the first day, all right, again, technically there was a fraction here, but it was just a division. Okay, so the only difference now is we had a fraction in front of the variable being multiplied by the variable. These last 3 examples are what happens. This is an exception to what we've done the entire time so far where we've added or subtracted first. Okay, so now what happens is that when you look at your order of operations, you would actually add 6 first and then divide by 5. Okay, if you ignore this as an equation, if I just told you that x was a certain number, you would have to do that number plus 6 and then divide that by 5. So to undo the order of operations, we actually have to get rid of the 5 first. This 6, if we tried to subtract 6, we can't just get rid of it because it's being divided by 5. So first we have to get rid of the divided by 5. So that means we have to times this side by 5. That cancels them out, times by 5. X plus 6 equals negative 15. After that, it becomes pretty simple. we would subtract 6, x equals negative 21. Now, you have to be careful when you check these. If all I do is negative 21 plus 6 divided by 5, I'm going to think I'm wrong because my calculator does not give me negative 3. But your calculator is smart and knows the order of operations, so it's actually dividing and then adding the negative 21. So there's two things you could do. You can either put it in parentheses, negative 21 plus 6, and then divide it by 5, and we get the correct thing. Or you can push your enter or your equals first and then divide, and you get it that way. All right, so number 2, this whole thing is being divided by 3, so first we have to multiply by 3 to get it to cancel. N minus 4 equals 30. Add 4, n equals 34. All right, again, if you want to check it, parentheses 34 minus 4 divided by 3, make sure we get 10, or you can do 34 minus 4 equals, and then divided by 3. All right, last one. This one looks a little scary because of all the negatives in there. But again, the only thing you're concerned with first is the denominator. The denominator is negative 4, so to get rid of divide by negative 4, we have to multiply by negative 4. Make sure you take the negative with it. R minus 2 equals 12. Then we just need to add 2, R equals 14. So we would have parentheses 14 minus 2 divided by negative 4 to get negative 3. Now those usually seem pretty simple because it's just multiply, then add or subtract. It's just recognizing when you see these in a worksheet that you actually have to get rid of the denominator before you can get rid of the number that's in the top of the fraction in the numerator.